The transport's engines whined as Specialist Morrison cut power 50 meters from the zone's edge. Through the reinforced windshield, Kael watched reality bend itself into impossible shapes. First time seeing it up close? Morrison asked, her mechanical leg clicking as she shifted in the pilot's seat. Kael nodded, not trusting his voice. The photographs and training manuals hadn't prepared him for this. Where normal forest should have been, massive pine trees grew sideways from cliff faces that shouldn't exist. The sky above them flickered between blue and something that hurt to look at directly, a color that made his brain itch. Zone's been restless lately. Morrison powered down the remaining systems. Sector 7G phased back into our reality 3 days ago. Satellite imaging shows structures, but the signal interference is making detailed scans impossible. Behind them, the other 3 members of Delta Team ran final equipment checks. Hayes, a stocky woman with burn scars covering half her face. Tran, barely older than Kael, who'd washed out of resonant training but stayed on as support. And Kowalski, whose nervous habit of adjusting his glasses every 30 seconds had been driving Kael crazy for the entire flight. Remember the drill, Morrison continued. Standard formation. Hayes takes point, Tran handles tech scanning, Kowalski manages samples, and Morrow, her eyes found his in the rearview mirror. You're our pack mule and early warning system. Early warning for what? Non-resonants sometimes pick up on zone effects before our equipment does. Something about not having signal interference in your brain. She shrugged. Could be core science bullshit, could be real. Either way, you feel anything weird, you sing out. Weirder than everything he was already seeing, she meant. The team disembarked in disciplined silence. The moment Kael's boots hit the ground, wrongness crawled up his spine. The air tasted metallic, like licking a battery. When Hayes spoke into her comm unit, her words came out as visible ribbons of blue-green light that hung in the air for several heartbeats before dissolving. Zone effect, she muttered, switching to hand signals. Sounds manifesting visually. Stay close. They moved toward the newly exposed settlement in a loose diamond formation. What had once been a small research outpost now sat half-buried under crystalline growths that pulsed with their own internal light. The buildings themselves looked wrong, walls that curved when they should be straight, windows that showed different views depending on the angle you looked through them. Kael's job was simple: follow behind the team, carry their findings, and try not to get killed by reality having a nervous breakdown. The gravity flickered as they approached the main structure. For 3 seconds, Kael felt himself become weightless before crashing back down to his knees. His pack scattered its contents across what used to be a concrete walkway. Everyone okay? Morrison's hand signals were sharp, urgent. 3 thumbs up. Kael gave a shaky 4. They spent the next hour cataloging debris. Fragments of computing equipment that hummed with residual energy. Crystallized air samples that Tran sealed in specialized containers. A coffee mug that existed in 2 places simultaneously, creating a nauseating double image effect. Standard salvage work, if anything about the zone could be called standard. Kael was loading the last of the samples into his pack when something caught his eye. Wedged between 2 slabs of twisted concrete, a crystal formation unlike the others. Where most zone crystals grew in sharp, angular patterns, this one was smooth. Almost organic. And warm, he could feel heat radiating from it even 3 meters away. Hey, Morrison. He waved the specialist over. Found something. She approached cautiously, scanner in hand. The device immediately started shrieking, a high-pitched whine that made everyone wince. Signal density is off the charts. Morrison frowned at her readings. Whatever that is, it's not naturally occurring zone crystal. Should we take it? Standard protocol says yes, but, the scanner's whine shifted to an almost musical tone. Morrison's frown deepened. That's not normal. Kowalski, get me a containment unit. But Kael was already moving. The crystal called to him in a way he couldn't explain. Not with sound, the zone's audio distortions made normal hearing unreliable. This was something deeper. A resonance that bypassed his ears entirely and vibrated in his bones. His hand reached out before conscious thought could stop him. Morrow, wait. His fingers closed around the crystal. It was warm, almost alive, pulsing with a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. Then it cracked. Light poured through the fracture directly into his palm, not visible light, but something else. Something that felt like electricity and tasted like copper and burned like liquid fire as it raced up his arm toward his heart. Pain exploded through every nerve ending as the crystal crumbled to dust between his fingers. And in that moment of agony, something new and hungry stirred awake in his mind.